this love that you never started. You once destroyed a broken heart that was already shattered. Holding on to what we have and take us to the edge and back. Holding on to what we have and take us to the edge and back. This love that you never started. You once destroyed a broken heart that was already shattered. Holding on to what we have and take us to the edge and back. Holding on to what we have and take us to the edge and back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here on the Sunday of the HRX qualifiers for Hand of the Gods, and we got into the game a little bit late. Hashtag blame Jithens in the chat. Please, Belgian Grump is going to be situated on the left with the lovely Pandemonium skin. Mr. C4 on the right with Zeus. This is an upper bracket special to get us started on time. I'm here with Sinbreed, and this is a matchup of Titans.
Yeah, one of the oldest matchups in the game. Two of the original gods or leaders, I should say here. So I'm a little interested to see for C4 that he still plays Apollo. Apollo is one of the cards that actually has been one of the cards that people start cutting from their decks, just because it's kind of slow. You have to put a lot of your leader build into it for it to give you a lot of value. So I'm interested to see like what he can make it happen with it here.
And look at the mercenary setup here from Belgian Grump. He's able to play a 4/4 mercenary on the 5-mana turn, on the 4th turn of the game. That's a pretty good tempo play, and it takes care of an Apollo that, like you said, C4 had already pumped a lot of resources into.
Yeah, exactly. And now he has to maybe just trade here his Arachne if he doesn't want to play Divine Vengeance. But he draws a second one, so I would think that's the play here. Yeah.
I think Divine Vengeance is a good, clean way. Well, I say clean. It's a good way to get rid of a good majority of Belgian Grump's board. But talk about Belgian Grump. I'm looking at this man's hand, and he's got both Runestones of Ire.
Yeah, and top decking a Wind Demon as well, so he has a lot of burst damage if you want to go for it. Like, I would not hate to see a Runestone come down this turn, but it seems like he's going to go for a Gladiator just to develop his board even further here.
I
And
mean,
probably
honestly,
see it next turn.
Wind Demon on a Scotty is scary because now that's a 4/5 ranged unit. That's the equivalent of Anubis, right? Which is a 6-mana legendary. This Scotty just got terrifying, and it's going to be pretty difficult for C4 to deal with.
Yeah, I do not like that he just went for if he's gonna put the Wind Demon on the Scotty and just take out a 1/1. I do not like that. He's going to be mana efficient, use all of his mana, but still that opens up if, for example, C4 runs a 1D side, then he wasted basically a Wind Demon on it. But
Look at
fortunately for him, he does not have it.
look at the other card that C4 just drew, though.
Yeah, so probably
That
gonna
is
steal that for next time.
Phantom Grasp, which is take control of an enemy god. He can take that 4/5 next turn because it's a 7-mana card. Here comes the Freya to kill off the Arachne, but I'm expecting this Phantom Grasp to be played right now.
Yeah, definitely. And we see a D side as well, but looks like he's hovering. Yep, that's gonna be a Phantom Grasp, and
So
it's a good position as well.
what other Phantom Grasp targets do you even have in Odin?
Well, you do have Emirs probably and Freyas we can see on the board, but that's probably it, except for the Scotty.
Right.
Maybe you have four. Some people play it still. Some people has gone away from it. So we'll see if we can see some 4 action here from Belden Grump, but it's going to be a silence on the Scotty.
Silence on the Scotty, on his own Scotty, which is resources that he's had to use then to take care of his own previous unit, and he is going to have to use the Surtur buff to kill it, but honestly, pretty clean way to deal with it. Although now I have to say, Belgium's going to be relying a lot on top decks if C4 can clear off this board.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. I thought it was going to be a Fire Giant turn there just to take care of the Freya instantly. It goes for the Phoenix that values that higher your, like, get rid of the Surtur instantly and 7 health.
So here's my question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but you play the 1/1 push face, and you play the chaos spawn to push face as well here, right?
Yeah, like right now, the Mr. C4 is trying to stabilize. Your only job now is just push as much damage as you can to the Summoning Stone. Hope that it's going to be enough, and yeah, that you can take with that. But the Runestone is gonna help a lot with that because every unit that you top deck is going to have charge. So
I'm feeling the fire giant or the Artemis Judgment play. And C4 is going for the Fire Giant. Talk me through why you might want to get the Fire Giant on the board rather than an Artemis in this scenario.
Well, this has a bigger body basically. So right now, the important thing is for him is to go and cut these 3 middle lanes off from Belden Grump, secure those 3 lanes, and then you can start to push into the damage zone.
It looks to my untrained eye, anyway, that C4 is beginning to stabilize, and I'm starting to fear him now that Belgian wasn't able to finish him before these power cards start coming out.
Yeah, interesting that he does not go for the Summoning Stone there with 6 damage, because he did have the mana for a Judgment, and Judgment would deal 4 damage to take out the Runestone there.
Mm-hmm. It does allow him to save it, though, for next turn, which is probably decently valuable for him.
Yeah, but that would have made it a 2-turn clock. That's thing. Oh wow, that's actually lethal.
Hello. That was literally. Was there any other higher attack card in Belgian Grump's hand or in Belgian Grump's deck other than the 5-attack Venator? I don't think there is.
No, I don't think so. And the Wind Demon on top of that to just go for a lethal there. Wow,
I mean,
I did not think.
Yeah, good discipline from Belgian, though, because he held both of those runestones for late game when he could use them just as charge effects, and good discipline in holding that Wind Demon until he needed it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we saw him a little hasty with on the Scouty when he got Phantom Grasp there. He didn't get any value from the Wind Demon, so he basically held the other one just to not misplay and just throw it away like he did on the first one, and had to use another card to silence his own Scotty to take it out. So good discipline there from Belden Grump. He is one of the veterans as well, and C4, we know him as one of the top players. Been to PAX, I believe he PAX East was the tournament he won, right?
I don't remember which coast it was on. I think it was West. But regardless, C4 is an excellent player, and really, I think C4 played that game perfectly, and the only reason why C4 dropped it was the perfect Venator top deck, and I guess it's skill if you call it, right?
Well, in skill, if you sorry, if you play to your outs, and that is exactly what happened there. So, like, good for him that he knows his deck enough to be able to just play to his out, know what's left in his deck, and say that this is my out to win this game now that C4's taking over.
Well, we are back into game number 2 here. We didn't even get to mention those matchups, and the one time you don't talk about it, Sinbreed, we get the Beastwa. C4 bringing out the Beastwa on the left side of your screen. Belgian Grump has Sunny D on the right side, and this looks like a pretty strong Beastwa start.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want here. You want a hyena on turn 1, but you want to attack with it as well. So, but the Anhur comes down, you're just probably gonna get bounced back here by the heavy
I
walk.
can't. That's a war cry,
that's
my friend.
War cry. That's a war cry. You're right.
But honestly, though, it's not the end of the world. You can make Crescent Blades as Nua, and you have so much board pressure at the moment that I think you can just kind of start pinging that on her down.
I think you want to save it up just because if you ping it here, he can move up 1 tile, take out the Elder Heartbeat, and heal up that Crescent Blade plus the stone if that was what he wanted to do here. So I think you just hold on to it right now and probably just go for Hyena maybe here. You do have a Capri to finish it off.
Okay. I could definitely see killing off the Hyena, because if there are other beasts in hand, they're certainly going to come out next turn. We can see the Suku, which would be a pretty useful card, as well as the Daji if the Anhur dies.
Yeah, and it's going to die probably here next turn, and the Elder Heartbeat is just going to trade into it.
Which, for better or worse, that's a nuts trade.
Yeah.
It's so in favor.
I wouldn't actually be surprised to see Daji come out here, buff the... Oh, it's going to be...
I like the Suku.
Though.
I like the Suku, and here's why. Because normally, if you play a 3 health minion in the late stages, Ra's got Annihilation, Ra has Magma Slams, obviously are still viable, but I think the turn here is it's not 7 mana yet, so he can't kill with Annihilation as well.
Yeah, my play I thought was gonna play that actually use his White Tiger to just kill off the Capri, but that line lets him push 2 damage extra on that turn to the face of Bellion Grump there.
And that is going to be Anubis coming down, wrapping up the White Tiger, but he can still do damage from there. I'm looking at the hand here. Invigorate doesn't look bad.
Yeah, this is probably one of the better Invigorate turns, just because he has 6 mana, he comes up to 7, and that's Annihilation territory. So you want to get your units out of the range from that. And yeah, so only right now I'm gonna see probably an Execute come down.
Oh, certainly, but what are the outs? Because if he only executes, he still loses.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything Belgian can do. I'm pretty sure C4's got this.
Yeah. And showing him, I did have the Annihilation there. Yeah, there's nothing he can do there. So it's going to be a 1-1. Really fast matches here today.
Well, and I think that's fast matches because obviously the first game involved an Odin, and in the second game it involved a Beast Wah. Both are notoriously fast lists, and they have to win quickly or they lose quickly. And in both cases, they've won aggro, seizing the day so far. Mr. C4, even with Belgian Grump, and going to the last game, Sinbreed, what do you expect from these players? It's the meta question every time, and I don't know if we've gotten it right yet.
Yeah. Well, let's go for each pumpkin they lost with so far. So a Zeus versus a Ra matchup maybe here.
I like it. And how does that matchup go, do you think?
Well, it all depends on the draws, obviously, but I think that, in my opinion, Raw has a little bit of a favor just because if they get a good start, they can go damage on the Summoning Stone. Well, Zeus might want to hold off just to not trigger like Favs later in the game and Sobex and that kind of stuff. So I think it's a favor of Raw.
All right, well, there's the expert analysis just waiting for us to get into game here for the last set. Talk to me through specifically what cards could be used in almost a tech fashion in this Pantheon matchup. Are there anything that you really have your eye on?
Well, there's some things like I was talking to Mr. C for last week, I believe it was, about his Zeus. And he likes to run 4 silence effects. He runs 2 kill spawns plus 2 shock and Ave. So that can be huge if there's going to be if it's going to go up against Raw, just because you have so much you want to silence in that matchup. So I think that can be the key here.
And we're getting pulled into game here, and I believe Mr. C4 is going with the Zeus Juice, and Belgian Grump has a a Chinese list here. Nuwa making an appearance. This one doesn't look very beasty, though.
No, this is a mid-range one, with Inferno as one of the big finishers.
Inferno is an interesting card that obviously it's a new card, so we haven't seen it proven a lot. But let's talk about a proven card. That's that Hui that just hit the board. This has been a potent card since its inception.
Yeah, and it's only gotten like more and more like broken in the eyes of like the pro scene, just because of like if you use your mana potion, if it goes second, just put a Hui down on turn 1. Your opponent is kind of locked in their options, so it's a very, very strong early game unit. But if you don't have it in your opening hand, it's going to get a little worse unless you have that like the momentum on your side.
Shock and Awe going to come out, silencing the Gladiator, which means that Nuwa's hero ability is no longer free and buffing Nemesis 2 more HP while simultaneously dealing 2 damage to that card. That is a really, really useful turn for C4.
Yeah, like getting the silence on the Gladiator, I don't think he was happy to use the shock and awe for it. I would think like a chaos bomb would have been the optimal play for him there, just because of triggered war cries.
Fair.
But this setup for Scylla to come down and finish off this gladiator though.
Yeah, I mean, that's very good, and it puts the Syl up to a 5-3, which doesn't one-shot the War Behemoth, but it's getting pretty close. So you kind of have to deal with the Scylla relatively quickly if you're in Belgian's shoes here.
Yeah, and he does have an Athena in hand as well, so he could finish off the War Behemoth if that's the trade that Bellingham wants to go for here.
What do you think about a Guan Yu? I know it's early. Actually, that doesn't work at all, does it? That's really bad.
You get only one Crescent Blade, so I think you just want to stack up some Crescent Blades here. You could go for Ao Kuang.
Ooh, lots of
here,
blades actually used. That's
yeah.
interesting. That's kind of inefficient, and it does make the Guan Yu a lot worse. And the Ao Kuang a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely, and it draws a second Ao Kuang here, so... But he's setting up to just get board control here. He knows this matchup is going to go late, so he has the time to stack up those Crescent Blades once again. So I wouldn't be that worried about it right now.
I think this is a pretty clear Athena turn from Mr. C4. Slam that bad boy down, and trade in the Nemesis would be my assumption, just so that it's a more favorable trade. Health totals aren't that important in this game, are they?
No, not in this matchup. Like, as long as Zeus can stay above 6 health, there shouldn't be that much of a problem just because the Dragon King can finish you off.
Right.
But
well, you say 6, isn't it 14?
Well, with Inferno, yes. If it, but it's a niche card, I would say. So there's not that many players that runs it. So I will be interested to see if actually Mr. C4 is gonna play around it here.
I'm feeling like this is just a super slow turn. Is it ever right just to buff Athena, play the poison, and pass? Because obviously Lenny looks really nice, but I don't think you have to rush it out, do you?
No, not in this matchup. You haven't seen a silence effect yet. I think you want to bait out at least one chaos spawn before you start doing that. Go for because you do not have any bounce effects in Zeus or in the Greek Pantheon or anything like that. So if it gets silenced, it's just going to be a 5/5 for 7. That is not that good.
Artemis is going to be the choice, and that was a shock and awe on the discovery tree there. So Artemis is going to hit the board. Poisonous is going to remain in the hand, but I don't think this is going to turn into a 12 damage Poisonous like we saw yesterday.
No, I don't think so either. If C4 were watching that match, he probably going to see like, oh wait, they can actually burst me quite hard if I take that much damage.
And also, I want everybody who's watching this that maybe isn't as experienced to look at how Mr. C4 positions his units. He's got the Artemis in the bottom row, the Athena in the top row, and in the middle row is a Summoning Stone. Nothing is lined up for Dragon King.
Yeah, so this is like when you see a high-level play, this is how they're going to position their units. Or if they have something that's above 6 health, then you can go also for put that in the middle lane here if that was the case. Like an Athena comes down and just in front of the Summoning Stone, for example.
Right.
But I'm a little interested here to see him going for this line of play. He had a full clear with Ao Kuang and Projection.
Oh, shock and awe. And it is the Artemis discovered as the next card on the list. That is very good for C4, both because it kills the Guan, and he knows he's drawing an Artemis next turn.
Yeah, if you know you're drawing an Artemis, you feel pretty good, because that is so versatile in whatever you want to do with it. Either you go for stone damage and just further along your own clock on it by maybe 1 to 2 turns, or you take out something on the board that has some importance for your opponent.
So the Artemis is drawn. Is it a very quick Artemis play here?
Yeah, I would probably play Artemis and Divine Vengeance. Okay, yeah, so that gives sets him in range with a Fire Giant here.
Yep.
So
and do you Judgment? Do you Judgment the Fire Imp? Or do you buff the Artemis?
That's actually a really good question. I would probably just buff Artemis here.
I tend to agree, but talk me through why you might want to cast the Judgment like Mr. C4 chooses.
Well, if there's any like removal spells. Whoa, that's a concede?
That was a fast concede from Belgian Grump, and I mean, I feel like he was still in that game.
Definitely, he had Aquanx plus projection in his hand. Like he could take out the Artemis next turn if he wanted to there.
In addition to that, I mean, he still had the win conditions that were Dragon King and the
He had Inferno.
and the 10 mana, Inferno. And it looks like we're getting some messages from Belgian Grump that he may have had a Wi-Fi problem. We're going to take a quick break, try to figure out if this game needs to be replayed, and let the admins make a ruling.